Open it up to questions. We'll start with Sean McPherson from KWVA Sports.
Hey, Coach, I noticed that on the organizational chart, there's a couple really young guys in the receiving corps that earned spots at the top. Monteval and Troy Franklin. What have those guys done to earn those spots?
Yeah, early enrollees who've been here since January, so been able to get a lot of valuable reps throughout spring ball and fall camp, and those guys have been very productive, made a lot of explosive plays. Coach BMAC's done a good job, teaching them the system. So great to see, like you mentioned, a couple young guys coming out ready to contribute.
James Crapia, the Oregonian.
Joe, and they create a lot of disruption in the backfield, did last season in particular, and started again on Saturday. Returned a lot of guys and then supplemented it with a guy like Brom and Mosby's back, Maeve at linebacker. Just what do you see in terms of their ability to create a lot of disruption in the backfield?
Yeah, the two defensive ends, 99, and then 3 who played linebacker last year. 3 had a strip sack fumble against UConn, and 99, combines a speed, power, and some good pass rush moves, and the 2 interior guys very stout. I think both 6'3" in the 315 range. But they're able to split double teams. Very stout against the run, and they affect the passer. So that they presents a great challenge for us in game 1.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Yeah, Joe, just the give and take of them having a game and having that first game jitters out, I guess you will, but you also have film on them. They don't have film on you. What's just kind of that give or take right now for you?
Yeah, I think it's, when you game plan a first opponent, you're generally going off of last year's film, which you're making game plan preparation, which is somewhat speculative. So for us to be able to, see them in game action, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It gives us better information to prepare, but also, they have, like as you mentioned, one under the belt. So probably a little bit of a push there in that regard.
AJ Jacobson, Rivals.
Coach Chris Ball was just telling us that the backup quarterback is still a work in progress, is to be determined type of thing. How is that position shaping him up right now in practice? In practice,
the guys are like every other position. The guys are coming out and they're competing, and been excited about their progress. As you mentioned, a true freshman and two redshirt guys. So, I'm happy with how they're, conducting themselves in the meeting and learning the offense and how they're taking that to the field. And so we'll keep getting the reps, keep having them compete, and go from there.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, with Anthony now being named the starter, where have you seen maybe the most growth from him when he arrived at Oregon, not just this year, but last year to now? And then are there benchmarks or things you like to see accomplished in the first game at the quarterback position, just because it is your first time seeing an offense against a different defense?
Yeah, I mean, Anthony's a little bit unique in the sense that he's played a lot of football as a starter at a high level. So I think the biggest change now is that, he was operating in a backup capacity last year, and doing his best to learn the system, and kind of got called on at the end of the year and played well. And now he's been working with the ones, and I think a continued understanding of the system, and between spring ball and now, he's really done a nice job with creating explosive plays, protecting the football, and making plays with his feet. So just want to see see that play out on the field on Saturday.
Max Torres, Ducks Digest.
Coach, with CJ Verdell and Travis Dye, so established at the top of the chart, running back, you have a lot of talent in that room. What did you see from Trey Benson to tab him as your next in line?
Trey's, Coach Masher does a great job with those guys, getting them ready to go. And, Trey's, a guy I've seen, play for a long time since he was at St. Joe's in Greenville. So Trey is a, very physically gifted, big, strong, fast, excellent change of direction, runs behind his pads, can make people miss, has nice hands. So, he's a guy that we've had, very high expectations for in regard to his performance, and he's lived up to them throughout practice, and, excited to have him, get an opportunity to perform in games. So real excited about Trey, his current status and his future.
Dylan Rubin King, Ducks Digest.
Coach, last year you had kind of a 6-man rotation on the starting offensive line, and you kind of returned those same 6 guys with a lot of depth behind them. But now that you have a full off season and you know everything's in person again, now that you're 5 days out from game day, how are you feeling about that starting group? In terms of development.
Yeah, obviously you've got Coach Cristobal and Coach Mirabal in the room, and they're getting coached as good as anybody in the country. I think the 2019 Oregon offensive line was, unless I'm mistaken, the most experienced in the country. And then we went to 2020 and had the least experienced line in the country, and still managed to, do some very, very positive things in a COVID year, quote unquote, with a new system. But now all those guys, as you mentioned, have a year's worth of experience, a spring ball and a fall camp under their belt. I think they're being developed incredibly well, and I think they're excited for the opportunity to play a game in year 2 of the offense.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
When you see a defense compete like they did last week, shut a team out, hold them to, I think, under 100 yards, all that, does that help just kind of make sure everybody's focused? I'm not saying they wouldn't have been focused, but does that catch the attention of the room of just when a defense performs like they did?
Yeah, I mean, anytime two FBS teams play against each other and, you shut them out, and I think it was 105 yards of total offense, maybe 35 yards rushing. I mean, that's impressive on air. I mean, if you're able to do that against an opponent, and I, I've worked for Coach Edsel and, been at the UConn program, so I know that, they develop those guys well, and it's an outfit that understands what they're doing. So for Fresno to be able to do that, and it's dang impressive by their defense. But at the end of the day, Coach talks about it all the time. Regardless of who we're playing, we prepare and play to a standard. So our level of preparation, effort, or execution shouldn't rise and fall based on our opponent. So certainly we have an unbelievable amount of respect for their defense. But Coach preaches all the time that if we take care of ourselves, good things will happen.
Jared Denny, On 3 Scoop Duck.
Hey, Coach, with Troy Franklin, how kind of specifically have you seen him improve and kind of earn that #1 spot during camp?
Yeah, obviously, very high expectations and a highly rated player coming out of high school for good reason. But I think he's physically developed. He doing a great job with Coach Feld and the staff in the weight room. Working on his size, his speed, and explosiveness and strength. But I think the big thing for any freshman, particularly, at that position, is being able to understand what we're doing and why, and then being able to translate that on the field. And going against our defense every day in spring and fall camp has given him a great opportunity. And he's made a ton of explosive plays. I mean, he really has. So every opportunity that he's being presented for this game is all well earned.
James Crepia, we're going in.
So, really big picture, how much do you view or looking forward to this season for you is a bit of establishing an offensive identity again? In that, I could argue for any number of reasons last year between short year and who was available, who wasn't. Mississippi State, due to quarterback availability, that was inconsistent for you. And you talk about the number of plays, you guys talked about it last season on a per game basis, and you go back to Penn State, you were closer to 70 plus plays a game. You're in the mid 60s or lower at times, even the past couple of years. How much of this is with a full sample and more experience back and all this, a chance to establish an identity that you haven't had necessarily a chance to do the past couple of seasons?
Yeah, there was last year was, I guess, irregular in a lot of ways. From how the whole thing played out. And so certainly, we've had a very good track record of success with this offense over the years at different spots. But I think the biggest area of optimism is the fact that we had an entire spring ball and entire fall camp, and then getting ready to go into the season. So I think we are going to have an opportunity to be pretty good offensively. So I'm excited to have this week of practice to sharpen things up, and excited to get on the field.
Last question goes to Dylan.
And kind of piggyback off of that, you have a lot of young guys who are kind of seeing reps with the starters for the first time and getting a feel for the offense for the first time. So what are you kind of feeling with their comfort level in terms of the play calling and kind of the rhythm of the offense?
You talking about the young guys or just in general?
Yeah, the young guys.
Yeah, the young guys. It'll be, their first time, playing in a packed stadium at the Power 5 level. So, there's going to be some pregame jitters and some anxiety, but we got to make sure that they know what they're doing and why, that they're playing with great effort and confidence. And, that all comes from, having a great week of practice. So, those guys will all be coached up. They'll understand what they're doing. It'll be a matter of going out there and kind of letting it fly and playing with a ton of confidence and letting their abilities take over.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a great day.